watching Ultiworld's coverage of the 2022 Division I College Championships from beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin. We got women's division action for you between Tufts Ewo and Colorado Quandary. Theo on here with Megan Tormey. Megan, both teams are 1-0. This is the hype matchup in this pool. What can we look forward to?
I mean, I think it's definitely going to be which team can assert their ethos on the other team. I mean, we saw Tufts go up against a really tough game against Pittsburgh, and they came out ahead. Colorado is just a very strong team, very accustomed to dictating the style of play that we see from the teams overall. So I think it's going to come to who can assert their playing style just a little bit more aggressively.
And speaking of the dominance of Colorado Quandary, I know the regional final, a huge lopsided win over Texas, so they were showing their might throughout that regional tournament, not giving up many points at all, and really being that powerful team that is worthy of the second seed here in this tournament. Going left to right on your screen, Tufts Ewo coming out in the whites. Leah Schwartz to pull for Tufts as we get a first look at Colorado Quandary's offensive line. And get ready for this anticipated matchup, Megan. Very fired up for this.
Yeah, I've been very excited for this one as well. Although the Pitt's tough game was more than I could have hoped for too, but this one should be an exciting game from start to finish.
Pull rolls out of bounds, trapping or potentially trapping Colorado on the sideline here. And they're going to get things going. Lausch just swinging back and forth here as Tufts coming on a zone set here, Megan, trying to disrupt things, and a bobble disc, and Tufts gets the block. So we can see what Tufts D-line can do right now. Great under for Ewo. Trying to knock on the door of that first break. Schwartz trying to get the up line, and it gets tipped and then blocked by Colorado. So they get another opportunity, and they're going to send it deep here. Just out of the reach of Emma Courtright.
That was such a great shot. So disappointing that Cartwright was not able to read that, get a chance to see that again. I feel like she was so close to coming up with that. It was a great look from Colorado to stretch the field early in this game.
Gaskill going to get a block here. Someone to definitely watch out for this Quandary team. And blocks back and forth, it feels like, but then there's a call.
Possession staying with Quandary.
Kleinkopf will retain possession here for Quandary. Over to Gaskill onto that far sideline. Colorado perhaps being more patient here on this offensive possession. Gaskill looking for options here. Does find a reset. Phillips and Gaskill going to play a little pitch and catch, and those two will definitely be mentioned a lot as they slice it to the far side and just out of the reach. And Colorado gives up another opportunity for Tufts Ewo to break here.
Yeah, they've done a great job of moving the disc down the field, getting the disc into the end zone. They've had completely open receivers and just unable to make the grab in the end zone.
High stall count throw gives Colorado a short field to work with. Can they punch in this first offensive point? And it's not to be there.
Gives the disc right back.
See a near catch there from Courtright. A couple that Colorado would probably want back just off the fingertips, Megan.
Yeah, again, Gaskill is doing a great job of getting the disc to her teammates in the end zone. There's just a tiny bit too much heat.
Heat is something we might need a little bit here in this venue.
It's chilly.
Getting a little chilly. We see a lot of the players in shorts, some in the pants as well as the The hand block gets made, and the thrower, Malia Brooks, in shock at what happened.
This back to Quandary. Quandary gives it right back.
Ewo looking deep here, and looks like no one in the vicinity. And it's been back and forth here on this first point.
Yeah, I have to say, in their first game against Tufts, Ewo looked so much more poised and calm when they had the disc. The shots from Schwartz were connecting left and right with her teammates. Ewo definitely feeling the urgency to make this score, which is making them be just a little bit rushed in some of their decisions.
Megan, do you think that's part of this 1 and 2 matchup in the pools?
Oh, for sure.
And that chance to get potentially, if things go to play as we see a foul call there?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The last time Tufts and Pitt met was in February, and Tufts won 13-6. So even though a lot of time has transpired between February and now, I feel like you come in with a little more confidence knowing you have a victory notched against your opponent.
Great layout saving grab there. Goss now looking for a reset. It's getting high stall count and finds Schwartz. Schwartz directing traffic, gonna send a flick over the stack and just out of the reach of Leah Helling. Oh, so close for that break. They've been knocking on the door. Their offense has been a lot smoother in this possession.
Just back to Quandary. Kleinkoff with the disc once again.
Kleinkoff, the grad student from Colorado, going to pick up here, trying to get this offense moving. As we were talking about earlier, Megan, that quarterfinal berth, having that bye is super important, and both teams feeling it right now, I think. Corey with the fake gets the zone to move here. Far side to Gaskell. Has a receiver deep. And it gets snacked down.
I thought for sure that was going to connect, but Goss split the difference, cut off the trajectory of that throw, and then immediately turns the disc over.
And a quick first row turnover gives Colorado one of their best opportunities on this possession to score, knocking on the doorstep of a hold here. Kleinkoff going around, and we'll find Courtright for the score. Kick spike and all. Despite all the noise there, Colorado gets the hold 1-0.
Finally, with beautiful position, Colorado runs a smooth offensive play to make the catch. You know, it's incredible to think with all that back and forth, that was just the first point of the game. And I do think that we're going to see that, especially at the beginning of the game, because nerves definitely have to make an impact here in the opening day of pool play against college nationals. Tufts undoubtedly feeling as though they have a lot to prove. Colorado feeling very protective of their second seed overall, first seed in the pool. As I mentioned, having watched Tufts just in their previous round against Pitt, I was so impressed with the patience and how calm their offense was playing. And they seem far more determined to expedite the pace of their offense this point. And it resulted in a lot of surprising turnovers.
We'll see if, as the game moves on, they settle down a little bit. Maybe getting a little too excited here. And we see a lot of the players that were on that long defensive point out there, Helling, Schwartz being two of them. So we'll see how the legs hold up. I know it's their second and last game of the day, but something to definitely watch out for. Quandary coming on a matchup defense here, in contrast to what Tufts did on the first point. Schwartz going to throw it a backhand. Will this stay in? Travels out of bounds almost to the fencing there. And Tufts giving up their first turnover here on offense.
That's an Ewo turnover. Emma Williamson back to pick up.
Emma Williamson, the freshman, to pick up here for Quandary. We get a first look at their D-line offense here. Wilmoth looking for a dump and just a little too far for the reset. And Tufts, short field to work with here on offense. Helling to pick up. And immediately throws a turnover that's blocked by Williamson. Excuse me, Wilmoth with the block. Tufts in contrast on this point going with matchup defense compared to their first defensive point. And that throw gets bobbled, or excuse me, not bobbled, thrown in the air. And sails over a couple players, giving Tufts the disc. Foul called there. Pendleton finds her teammate for the score, and Tufts gets it done. Emily Kemp from Tampa, Florida with the score. So Megan, both teams had some turnovers, but their offenses got it done.
Yeah, and it's funny that both offenses functioned in a similar fashion. When there was a turnover close to the end zone, they paused, set up their end zone set. But working up to the end zone and then doing well in the red zone has been difficult for both teams here in the first couple of points of this game.
And if you're Tufts right now, you had some success in zone. Do you think they're going to maybe come out in something different or keep that zone look up to try to throttle this Colorado offense?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would think that they would maybe throw zone for another point, but then immediately mix it up. I mean, you've got such incredible coaches on the Colorado staff: Cassie Swafford, Christina Mickle, Hillary Egan, Claire Chastain. You don't want to keep anything the same for too long, because that powerhouse of ultimate intelligence is going to dial up an answer for all of that very quickly, so you have to keep them guessing.
Those players have a few accolades, I think, man, just a few there between the four of them.
Yeah, you may have heard of their names here and there.
And I always think when I see the large coaching staff, I always wonder who's got the defensive line, who's got offense, because I'm sure they all have different specialties and kind of talking, and
yeah,
there's just a lot of advice given, which is awesome.
Certainly, the way that Colorado has it split up, Mickle is on the D-line, Claire Chastain manages the O, Hillary Egan does a lot of individual adjustments, and Cassie Swafford, this is her first year coaching, does line calling.
That's some great insight there into what Colorado's doing with the four coaching staff. And will this stay in bounds? It will not. And the observer ushering the disc, we moved up a lot further than where that throw landed. So great field position here for Ewo. And look at that, that's Schwartz again, third point in a row here. So maybe a short bench in this pivotal pool matchup here, Pool B. See Coach Claire Chastain offering instruction to the mark here, and that forces up a high stall throw. Gaskell comes down with it, another block for number 44. Colorado with some movement here as Tufts settles into their zone look. Balshore and Gaskell doing a lot of the lifting here on the backfield as Colorado trying to solve the zone, which they were able to do in part on their first possession here on offense. A near block gets scooped up by Gaskell. Now potential breakout here for Colorado, and the tip disc results in a turnover. Great heads-up play.
Damasio Donahue with the D. Just over to Ewo.
Damasio Donahue just close enough to knock that out of the reach of the intended receiver.
Schwartz with the hands up, wondering where the receivers are. Another high stall throw, has to go up. And an ear grab from Brooks. Listed from Honolulu, Hawaii, which you don't see often at the college championships, I will add. High throw snagged down. Working up the sideline is Colorado, and they'll get the score with the toe in. Double zeros, Kristen Reed with the score.
Man, Colorado looking just a little bit more like they are settling in offensively. I was really impressed with the way that they used the width of the field that particular possession. And then as soon as they felt like they had enough EWO defense behind them, then they started to shoot up the line.
I think the calming presence of Gaskill, especially quarterbacking their offense there, did a lot for making other players feel comfortable and just allowing them to work the disc there. And we're just excited to bring you this great coverage from Ultiworld and getting the drone shot here from our production team. And Megan, this just looks really cool.
Yeah, I love the drone footage of Ultimate, especially when you have a great huck go up. There's no better way to watch that from overhead.
Yeah, Megan, my own theory is that teams should all invest in a drone and use it for game film, because I think it's just a great way to see stacks and just see what your defense is doing and what your offense could potentially work on or is doing well.
No, that's a great point. It was really exciting to watch in the previous game. I was watching Stanford and UNC, and of course Stanford known for putting on lots of different zone looks. That was really fascinating to watch from an aerial view.
As we get a look at Pool B here, UC Davis yet to play. Of course, in a pool of 5, someone has to sit one off, but this is, we don't want to crown it as the game for the pool, but potentially if things go out to seed, it would be the case. Ewo working around midfield here. Williamson now for Colorado. Has picked up a couple times for this defensive line. Resets to Hecht. Going to the break side here. And there it is. Catalano with the score, and Colorado gets a break. They go up 3-1 in this Pool B matchup.
Tufts is going to have to answer back now. This is, you know, a game of runs. It definitely feels like Colorado is starting to mount some momentum.
So now if you're Tufts, it's not of course the panic button.
No,
Very early
not.
for that. Very early for that.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see who is coming out on their offense. I see Schwartz again, Helling out there. So they're going to ride the big guns, as they say. If they're going to win this game, they're going to ride with them.
Yeah, and again, to talk about just their performance in their game against Pitt, I was so impressed with the patience that I saw from Helling and Schwartz, and also Julia Lober. I think that she needs to come in. You know, they were working a 3 handlers back, and it really helped them take as many resets as they needed to for their offense to get settled and start making in cuts. And it was highly effective because it was just an easy, quick reset, kept the defense moving while they got themselves running in the set that they wanted.
Cleo Phillips pulling for Colorado, crossing over here on this defensive point. Person defense here from Quandary. Barrett finds Schwartz in the reset space. Gonna go deep again. Reeled in. 15 yards outside of the end zone here. Dump and swing, and it works out for Tufts. Hazel Ostrowski with the score. And Tufts able to battle back there. You definitely don't want to let those breaks pile up, especially early in the contest, and they're able to do just that.
Absolutely. That was the perfect offense to counter the way the game was starting to feel. A Schwartz deep throw that connects is absolutely essential for Tufts' success. Kemp resets to Lober, who immediately fires into the end zone for none other than Ostrowski, who is just so effective at getting open, timing her cuts, positioning her cuts to get open just when her team needs them.
You're getting a glimpse of why Ostrowski was named number 10 there on the Ulti-World Top 25 college players. So, and Megan, I know when you go to tournaments, it's all about the swag and the merch, right? And you can definitely see that here in the line. It's all about the swag. Spins got your merch needs covered. I haven't entered that line yet because clearly I'm in the booth, but it looks like it's a long one, but it's worth it because you get that College Nationals merchandise. Helling bringing that club experience. There's a few players, Megan, on this team with club experience. Siege, Brute, Sprocket as well. So I think that's going to lend a big hand because you know Colorado has that same experience on their side. Some players playing with Molly Brown or entering their first year with Molly Brown.
Yeah, absolutely. Having some experience with a club team just gives you more reps in slightly high pressure situation against people who have been playing the game much longer than you have. And that really shows on the field.
Low hawk for Phillips. Can't get there. Good effort, though. That Tufts zone look coming out again. Court right matching up against Lober. Over to Helling in the center of the field. We get to the far side here. You can probably hear audibly from the observers out call. They make those active calls there on the in-outs, and that's what you get. And Tufts now, another opportunity, Megan. Will they be able to cash in with their defensive line? Don't see Schwartz out there, so we'll see who decides to put it up for them on this point.
Yeah, they do have Helling and Lober, and a very uncharacteristic bobble and drop from Lober gives the disc right back to Colorado.
Colorado, we'll say in the red zone here to use a football reference. As Gaskill going to swing it to the other side to Courtright. And Courtright's second goal puts Colorado up 4-2.
Courtright, just such a speedy receiver, very difficult to grab. You give them a player like Gaskill who's able to just hit a shot with such speed. It's the perfect matchup.
We hear a timeout being called from Tufts as we take a look at that replay from the last point. And stretching the field laterally is going to be important for both teams. You saw it there with Colorado. Courtright getting on the board once again. And someone that Colorado will rely on here is we see Cassie Swafford, the line caller you mentioned earlier, now offering some instruction to the squad. Colorado is up 4-2 here in this Pool B matchup. We'll be right back.
Ulti-World's live streaming coverage of the college championships is presented in part by AGW Ultimate, who wants to remind you to say no to Big Ultimate. You can find them at agwultimate.com.
You're watching live Ultimate coverage on your Friday. Division I college championships, Colorado Quandary, Tufts Ewo, exciting Pool B matchup. Some would say, if things go to seed here for the pool. Theo Wan here, Megan Tormey. Megan it's been a few turnovers
Yep.
in this first few points, and Colorado's been able to show their resilience. We're going to see what Colorado can continue to do to pressure this Tufts Ewo team.
Yeah, and it's important for Ewo to remember that Colorado will give them opportunities. Colorado is super happy to take shots, to fire the disc when they think they have an opportunity. So Ewo will have the opportunity to get breaks, get the disc back, but they need to be a little more dialed in. I feel like they're letting nerves dictate the shot as opposed to the situation on the field.
So with that being said, as the coaching staff, what do you say to your team to kind of dial back those nerves as these points are happening and the game is continuing on?
Yeah, I think that's always one of those timeouts where you just have everyone huddle up and say, like, hey, we're going to play our game. This is the thing. This is the thing that got us to nationals in the first place. This is the thing that can get us out of this pool. So just reminding everyone kind of the ethos and the character of the team to help everyone settle in and remember they're a unified front.
May have been the reason why they called the timeout there. It wasn't like Colorado was getting a lot of momentum. And a big layout opportunity just out of the reach there for Tufts and Colorado. A break opportunity here. Gillich to pick up. Looking deep right away for Gaskell, but instead going to settle for a reset to Hecht. Phillips also crossing over this D-line here. Trying to go up 3 points early in this contest. Quandary working it really effectively on the break side here. And then there's a pick.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Gillich with a hammer, and Phillips reels it in. Colorado gets another break there. You don't normally see such a short field open side hammer.
No kidding.
But it does work for Quandary, and they go up 5-2.
Yeah, even Phillips looked a little surprised to see that go off, but kudos to her for making that grab anyway. I mean, that is heads-up play.
When a handler goes up line, usually it's the soft backhand,
Yeah,
maybe
right.
with a little outside edge. But in this case, we're going with the open side hammer. It works out. Phillips, I think, is still laughing about it as Claire Chastain's showing off her own hammer skills or shadow hammer skills there. Now, if you're Tufts, you've had a couple of these players play lots of points. Helling, Ostrowski, Schwartz. I know that's a big part of their handler core. Going to have to see how they respond to a little bit of adversity here, down 5-2. Williamson has been doing a lot of the pulling here for Quandary, and will do so once again as we get things settled here into this next point. Coaches now getting off the field, making sure, you know, they're not on the field to play, of course, and just offering that last-minute instruction. Tufts coming on a horizontal stack. Pendleton finds a receiver downfield. And Tufts trying to get that offense moving here. And looking smooth, getting the hold. That's what they needed, and Julia Lober reels it in.
Moving across to the end zone, Julia Lower brings it in for the Ewo score. Colorado
Super impressive effort from Ewo this particular point. Nice throw from Goss and great recognition from Lober. Usually hangs out back with the handlers, recognizing that the momentum is moving upward. She sprints into the end zone and is the perfect option for Goss.
The Callahan nominee for this team, able to get the team within 2 now, down 5-3. We're looking at more pools here, and some teams have yet to play, but there's lots of action happening. Megan, we could talk about every game, but anything stick out to you at all in these results?
I think one of the games I was really curious about was the was the North Carolina game, mostly because I wanted to see, you know, is there anyone who had anything that could potentially fluster North Carolina? And I know that Stanford typically comes out with not just one or two, but several iterations of a zone look. And I was really curious to see how North Carolina would handle that. And it was an interesting game. North Carolina, of course, won. But it was really great to see Stanford fighting so hard defensively against a team as offensively strong as North Carolina.
Zone looks are coming out from Tufts for sure in this game, maybe channeling an inner Stanford there as they're trying to disrupt continually Colorado's offense. In a different look here than we've seen previously from Iwo. Colorado able to work it side to side here. Phillips faking a downfield shot, will settle for a reset. Great spacing there from the handlers, allows a popper movement downfield, and they're continuing to run on this offensive point. As Tufts will have to settle the person defense here in the end zone. Snags just outside on the line now. Gillatch over to Gaskill. And that dump swing defense works out as guess who? Courtright with the third goal.
Stacey Gaskell in the end zone for Emma Courtright. The Quandary score. Colorado 6, Tufts 3.
And Megan, on that offensive point, Colorado looked pretty unfazed, it seemed like, compared to their first few points in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. It does feel that at this state in the game, Colorado has settled in. And so it's up to Iwo to come out with something that's going to unsettle them. Like, clearly, Colorado has adjusted. Clearly, they're feeling comfortable. Obviously, we have to have Tufts hold at this offensive point before they can try and change something up defensively. But they're going to have to reach into the playbook and pull something else out if they hope to start a break run against Quandary.
Hopping on that break train, as they say, and even just looking at Colorado's body language, they look more settled now. We just saw a shot there earlier of Courtright and the rest of the squad, and they were just loosey-goosey walking back to their line and looking like they're having fun, and that's what you want from a team that's trying to contend for a title here. Have fun, but play your game as well. Pull stays in bounds here on this near sideline. Great attempt there, but comes up empty. Is Wilmoth. Matchup defense once again here from Colorado. Wilbur holding on this far sideline, continues up the line movement. Gonna go into the end zone and almost scooped in there by Emily Kemp, but it was not to be. And Colorado, another break opportunity.
Yeah, Colorado did a fantastic job of forcing the handler set to the sideline. I mean, that was a tight shot as it was. That's about exactly the way that defense was drawn up. Put them in a difficult position, make them make a shot that can't connect.
Now Colorado with more of a true defensive line here. Not a lot of offensive starters crossing over. So we'll see if that D-line depth can show up here. And a big point block gives Tufts the disc back. Maggie Pendleton. Pendleton goes up the line. High release flick as well. And the Tufts Eagle, they want to do it in style if they're going to come back in this game.
I mean, this is exactly the kind of shakeup that's necessary to come back from a 3-point deficit. Pendleton gets the foot block, immediately gets up and starts the offense. She's immediately a shot for her teammate. And then Ostrowski with a fancy way outside input to Lober. who's really finding herself very useful in the end zone as opposed to firing in it in this game.
2 goals, an assist, a block, Lober all over the field for Tufts, contributing to 3 of the 4 points there. And it's starting to feel that if Tufts continues to make this run, it's going to be on the back of some of these star players.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. And so, you know, anytime you have to lean heavily on some players, you hope that they have enough gas in the tank to make it through the entire game. And we will just see how they can distribute the load effectively so that Lober, Schwartz, Ostrowski can do what they need to do to ratchet up the score.
And then once you are able to get that game close, and then, you know, towards those end points, then you bring in the Stars for sure, playing every point and trying to rattle off the victory here. And what would be deemed as an upset, I think for a lot of people it would be seen as these 2 teams are pretty evenly matched. And yes, 2 seed versus 7 seed, but this is a great matchup here in Pool B.
Yeah.
Near attempt there, Gaskell stays cool under pressure. Corright throws and goes. And Gaskell gonna look deep. And just too far there. Kleinkopf looking like maybe the throw, or thinking the throw was gonna come under a little bit, and it just sailed over the head, over their head, I should say.
Just over to Ewell on the turn. Leah Schwartz back to pick up.
Schwartz doing a little checking of the wind here on this point, and throwing another flick out. She's done a couple of those. And coming down with it is Cleo Phillips. Quandry's been getting a lot of takeaways too with these floating hucks. And able to take advantage here.
Yeah, the margin for error is so much narrower this game, and Colorado just doing slightly better at reading and positioning to take away those huck hopes that Iwo has.
Helling had an opportunity, doesn't get it, and now Colorado on this close sideline. Phillips bursting into the front cone for the score, leaving the defender in the dust for now, and Colorado goes up 7-4.
Man, the thing I love about Colorado's offense is how they are constantly poised for a fast attack. The receivers look upfield, and there's usually someone cutting. And they're so poised, they're so prepared to hit those shots, making it incredibly difficult for Iwo to put on tight, effective defense.
Little head spike for you as well. Do enjoy the style points as Colorado up 7-4. Chance to take half. And so this is an important point for Tufts Iwo to kind of stymie the tide here and make sure they don't go down half 8-4. See second on the line there, Leah Helling offering some instruction to the team, number 12 in white. Tufts does look relaxed on the offensive line, though. They're not heads down too much, it looks like. So they're ready for this offensive point and trying to get this hold as Phillips to pull for Colorado. Has played a heavy amount of points here for this Quandary squad. Be interesting to see if that continues throughout this game. Helen can't get the reset, and it's going to give Colorado a chance to break for half and take it 8-4. Heck for Quandary. Finds Reed. Williamson draws multiple defenders, and there's some muddied offense there as two Colorado players bumping into each other. It's going to result in a turnover.
We're able to convert this back over to Ewell on the turnover. Lower picks up.
Wilbur going to look deep. Multiple Quandary players in the area, and Wilmoth will come down with it. Credited with that takeaway. And some miscommunication between Hecht and Gilach. That will result in Tufts getting the disc back. And that throw just too far. Colorado's going to have to work the full field here if they want to get this break for half.
Yeah, Coach Christina Mickles mentioned at the beginning of the game that they know Tufts like to huck it, and so they've been positioning their defense to be prepared for that, and you have seen that time and time again, especially as this gap starts increasing and you feel just like a little bit of, I don't want to say desperation, but Tufts is definitely feeling the pressure more than Colorado is to make these connections, and they're starting to put up throws that are ill-advised.
Great layout block there. And that will spark some energy for Tufts Ewo. You expect that to see that from one of your leaders in Ostrowski, and trying to get the team back not just on offense here, but also on defense with that play. Schwartz swinging it around here. Tufts now middle of the field with Helling. A high stall count throw. Looking for the resend. There will be a call. Phillips guarding Schwartz there.
I also hit your hand, but I think it was like my hand was between your hand and the disc. I definitely think you got disc, but I think it was because you were literally grabbing my hand as you were going for it. I know it was tight, but I think my hand was in front of yours to begin with. I know there's contact. Okay. Should we just go to the observer? Sure.
Okay. I was screened from the contact because your bar's between me and the disc, so the observer was, we're going to play as a contest. It's going to go back to the thrower.
Yeah, even with the benefit of the replay, I find it very difficult to see what happened either. We also had a screened view.
That's the case. We just reset it as a contested
on
call,
6.
and it's coming in on 6 here, as you heard from the observer. Strowski 10 yards away from his score, going to go reset, lose a few yards to Schwartz. Schwartz slicing a flick to Ostrowski, and that's, we're going to call it that bookends right there. And the kick spike's going to get them fired up, but it's that block that's going to do it first.
Yeah, that was just a disgusting layout D from Ostrowski. And then a little bit of offense later. She is the one to get the disc in the end zone. There we see her layout. Once again, just reading it better.
We do have a timeout on the field. Tufts have taken their second.
So you saw that contested foul that led to Tufts keeping the disc and then moving on offense. And Schwartz clearly likes the flick, so I don't know if Colorado's going to change their force and go backhand, but Schwartz has definitely been putting out those flick blades or even kind of floatier hucks as well. So we'll see what they decide to do.
Yeah, but I feel like they've been doing a really good job of making the receivers downfield ineffective. So a lot of her throws have not connected the way that they typically do. She's a great thrower. She's a huge benefit for her team, and she's just not connecting to the degree that she normally does for Ewo.
Timeout called there by Tufts. It's 7-5, and you don't want to go down half, of course, 8-5 either, but 8-4 just feels a lot worse in my mind.
Totally.
Just getting doubled up is just not feeling great.
No, yeah, it's a much bigger mental battle to come out of half 8-4. So that was a huge point for Tufts to make sure they're not walking into the second half with that kind of deficit.
You're getting a shot right now. It looks like the full Colorado squad. It's actually not. It's just the defensive line there talking to their coaching staff while offense out there already on the line. As we mentioned, Coach Claire Chastain talking to the group, offering any final instructions as Schwartz to pull here. Saw Schwartz talking to the coaching staff with a couple other handlers before the game, and I could overhear them talking about kind of what they were going to do in the zone look and things like that. So clearly that instruction's been passed down, and the players hoping to execute it. Pull goes up here as Colorado trying to hold for half. Can they do it? Another zone look here, but very different to one we saw in a previous point. So they're trying to mix things up on this Quandary offense. And it generates a turnover.
Yeah. Oh, but there's a call.
I said that too quickly there, Megan. As Megan Kenny calling a foul.
It's a foul contest? Okay.
Oh, I see. Kenny is saying that the contact with Helene inhibited their ability to make a second effort bid on the disc.
And Colorado now able to find Kenny through the zone, and they're going to potentially be off and running and not let tough zone defense settle down here. Gaskell thought about the hammer. Decides to go reset instead and up the line. Looking for Courtright. And the leading goal scorer for Colorado gets it done once again. And they'll take half 8-5 in this Pool B matchup.
Courtright having themselves a game as Colorado gets settled in, showing some great, quick, powerful offense that Iwo is going to have to dial up a response to in the second half.
And we see the movement here from Colorado, and I mentioned this earlier as well, Megan, that lateral movement really important for them. We're seeing that right now. And they go up 8-5. Tufts not out of it, of course, but they're going to have to find some answers on defense because the zone looks are potentially causing some turnovers, but Colorado also able to kind of slice through that one, at least on that point. Colorado is up 8-5 here against Tufts. Lots more action to come from the 2022 College Championships.
The last 50 years have seen a lot of positive change
around a whole range of important issues.
And some things remain reassuringly unchanged.
Like the spirit of our game.
Ultimate is 50 years young and still a perfect circle
of fair play,
athletic pursuit,
and camaraderie.
In fact, Ultimate was a social network
before social networks even existed.
Respetamos nuestras diferencias
and understand the value that they add.
The revolution of the disc in flight continues to prove
that there's nothing we can't achieve
when we
pull together.
Long live Ultimate.
Larga vida Ultimate.
Long live Ultimate.
We're back here at the 2022 College Championships. Colorado Quandary up 8-5 on Tufts Iwo. Thea Wan, Megan Tormey, bringing you the broadcast. We're taking a look at the schedule here. More action coming up in Field 1. Any matchup that stands out to you? I know there's 3 more.
Gosh, I don't know. What are you excited to see? I mean, this is my favorite part of coming to Nationals, just coming to see how everyone has finished putting together their team leading into Nationals.
Yeah, the Element matchup down below very much so excites me. UCSB, that last one there, and you're right. It's easy to pick all of them because they're all exciting. And to be honest, we're just very excited to bring you all this coverage. 4 games per round, 2 streamed, 2 filmed. As we take a look at the stats, you can't help but notice the 0 there on the break side for Tufts.
Contrast that by the break opportunities that they have had. 13 break chances, 0 breaks. Counter that with Quandary's 8 break chances and 2 breaks. I mean, that is essentially the story of the game. Quandary, I would say, has definitely dialed down their turnovers. They haven't given as many break chances as the end of the first half rounded out. But at the same time, they are giving Iwo an opportunity. Iwo just needs to work on capitalizing it.
Colorado Quandary up 8-5 here, as we'll be right back on Ultiworld's coverage of the 2022 College Championships.
What a throw.
Great catch by Kara Siebert. Wow. Stewart with the high release backhand. Another great throw from Jezierski and a great catch from Barrett to match it. UCSB looking for this break, and a great grab by Childress in the end zone. Big throw from one of those star freshmen, Stewart. Kara Siebert with a foot block. Stuffed by Kwasnik. Nelson stuffed at the throw by Jezierski. And Jezierski gets the point block, but it's saved by Audrey Brown. What an incredible layup catch. Kwasnik goes and gets it over Jezierski and over everybody else. Jezierski shooting for Barrett, right back the other way.
Welcome back to Ultiworld's coverage of the 2022 Division I College Championships. We're just coming out of half between Colorado Quandary and Tufts Iwo. 8-5 the scoreline here. We're in beautiful Milwaukee, Wisconsin, E-Line Soccer Park, Soccer Complex. Lots of fields going on, lots of buzz. Theo Wan here with Megan Tormey. Megan, for those maybe just joining us for right now, what's been the main storyline of this contest?
Well, certainly Iwo has given themselves the opportunity to earn a break, but they have not capitalized on a single one. 13 break opportunities, 0 breaks scored. The score is 8-5. That just about settles it.
That's probably one of the easier stories of the game.
Yeah.
You look at the stats, there's break opportunities, team doesn't cash in, they're losing by that score. There you go.
Yep.
And now something we've talked about as a key to watch is the usage of some of these high volume players for Tufts. They're back out on the field. You see a look at Schwartz and Pendleton being 2 of them. And we're going to be interested to see what Tufts coaching staff decides to do. And on the flip side, Colorado has crossed over some offensive players, but has kept a lot of their D-line the same or mixing in similar players from their defensive squad. So some maybe contrasting coaching philosophies there.
This is definitely a good time in the tournament to experiment with mixing a few different players on different lines. It's early in pool play. They have a comfortable lead. So you can kind of try out a few different things because, especially for a team like Colorado who has finished out their season not particularly tested, you're going to have to fabricate some of those pressure scenarios to prepare you for later down the bracket. Colorado currently seated 2nd in the tournament overall, 1st in the pool, definitely hoping to make a championship run. They're going to have to use these opportunities to learn and grow a little bit more so that down the bracket they're performing at the best of their abilities.
And that testing that you're talking about, that's hard to do in practice when you're playing against the same player. So maybe you got to scrimmage against a club team or something like that to kind of simulate some of that test, because as we talked about at South Central Regionals, they were not tested at all and kind of blew through the teams that they played. Ostrowski draws the Wilmoth matchup here. Now around to Schwartz. Patient offense here from the Tufts handlers. And a little juke move from Ostrowski. Had her defender beat, and then some miscommunication it looked like.
Yeah, but Wilmoth, reading only the disc and not the opposing player's eyes, finishes out and swats that disc down decisively.
Is that something? I don't think that's something recommended, but it did generate the block there.
Well, you should always follow it all the way through, but I like catching my D's.
Inside throw, gets them out of the end zone here. Nice little toe in from Wilmoth. Going to keep possession alive for Quandary. Reed resets to the aforementioned Wilmoth. And goes with a timeout early in this half.
Coming in on? Okay, perfect.
That's Colorado's first timeout of the second half.
Colorado up 8-5 here in this Pool B matchup.
Ultiworld's live streaming coverage of the college championships is presented in part by AGW Ultimate, who wants to remind you to say no to Big Ultimate. You can find them at agwultimate.com.
Colorado calling that timeout here early in the second half. Kind of surprising to me. I'm not sure if it was for you,
totally.
Megan. They just had a break, and now they're taking another one.
Yeah, and they, I mean, I felt like they were moving the disc well. It seemed like players were open downfield, but all the same, here they sit at 8-5. They're probably hoping to notch an even larger lead. Maybe they thought they would take this opportunity to practice coming out of a timeout and doing the play that they drew up during the timeout.
Looking deep right away off the timeout. Reed grabs it with 2 hands. Williamson finds Hecht. And they get the break score. Britta Bergstrom, the Golden Colorado product, puts them up by 4 goals. And so what do we know, Megan? They call the timeout, they get the break, so they know clearly their team better than we do. They should, because that's their coaching staff.
Yeah, they did a great job of executing right out of the timeout. I mean, sometimes you can come out a little flat, a little stagnant. I will have to say that long throw was read beautifully by Reed, who had to step in front of her defender in order to grab it. That kept the possession alive. And then from there, they just played really clean end zone offense.
Just about 31 minutes before the soft cap. Would say it's heading towards a critical juncture where Tufts has to start thinking about got to get these holds and then you know, getting on the break train. For Colorado, you can just score on offense and win this contest.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're going to have to score with a greater speed than we've seen from them so far. And I think part of that has been Colorado's defense dictating how they operate offensively. You know, obviously Schwartz hasn't connected with as many long throws as we typically see her connect, but she's still going to need to be putting up those big throws in order to help her team score quickly.
Williamson with the pull here. Has a little dodge action happening. Helling electing not to catch the pull. Tough settling into a vertical stack look. Helling with a nice break throw around. And going to receive the disc right back here on a reset. Low throw. And this will be an interesting call. I will say I was blinded by the player, so hard to see. We'll see if we can get a replay.
10 seconds.
Or the observers are just going to call it, and it is going to be down. The players may have called that themselves. Thumb swing has been working for Colorado, and really thought about going up the break side still and instead fakes it. Inside throw taken down by Williamson. And there's another break for Quandary. They are rolling right now. Navid, the senior, brings it in. And Colorado now doubling up Tufts.
I mean, they have really dialed in and are attacking so aggressively. Here we take a look at the low throw that was simply not dug up by Iwo. And then Colorado doing a great job of fighting hard on the break side. They really do not let themselves be forced onto a sideline for very long before they work to get it off of that line. And then they always have cutters or options downfield so that they can work that break side. They get in 2-3 free passes with no defense. And on this case, just so happened that those free passes were in the end zone.
The benefit, too, of this lead for Colorado is we haven't seen Courtwright, for example, or Gaskill recently, the last couple of defensive points. And that's going to pay dividends as they want to make a large run into the bracket.
Yeah, that's a great point. When you can lean in to the entirety of your roster and still come out with a win, you know that you're going to do well over the course of a several-day tournament.
It's a tricky balance, right, Megan? Because you want to do the game management within the game, but then there's the tournament balance as well.
Yeah, certainly, certainly. And that becomes a huge thing to think about at Nationals, where you're facing the best in every region, right? There's no free pass.
Tufts going to have to work hard on this point to get us a score here as Schwartz directing some traffic, pointing again and gonna launch the huck. Little Babe Ruth moment there, and it's gonna work out. Point, throw, and score for Schwartz and Tufts Ewo. They're trying to make a game of it right here.
And you could tell that Schwartz wanted to finish this point with her throw. Yes, dictating traffic, saying, no, I'm going to put it long. And that started to get tight. And again, Colorado recognizing that that's the kind of look that Ewo is going to be looking for, especially as the stall count gets higher. They had 2 defenders, but it still just wasn't enough to stop that put.
I love that though. The pointing, the talking to your team, and just go. Just go. I have that throw. We've seen it many, many times throughout this game. They've dialed up a few hucks with a couple different players, but it's been mostly Schwartz leading the charge, and you get a few more years of that. Just 18-year-old freshman. That is scary for the rest of the division and the region.
That's unfair. That is unfair.
When you have someone leading your team like that, it's great to see, getting contributions from seniors as well as some of the underclassmen in the group. But now we got to shift our focus to the Tufts defensive line. You want to come back, the defense has got to make a run here. Tufts looking a little confused. I thought I got it wrong there, Megan, because I thought they were on offense, but it turns out they're on defense and just forgot the disc there. So now they got it, and they're ready to go. Had a good little laugh, it looks like. Lober is playing this point here after having played lots of offensive ones for Ewo. Colorado in the attacking half facing just a traditional cup zone, it looks like, with person matchups downfield. And Colorado making light work of this defensive look here. Phillips left coach all alone, and so is Gaskill. And that defensive look just simply did not work for Tufts, as Gaskill with a nice little celebration, and Colorado restores their 5-point lead. Not much resistance there from that defense.
No, absolutely not. The zone was just a little bit slow, a little stagnant, and left some really wide open pockets that Colorado capitalized on very quickly.
Gaskill being one of the big heartbeats of this team. You can see it bringing the energy here. As Tufts got to find the energy of their own. There's a few fans here, and they've brought the noise for Tufts, and it's good to see the parents being involved.
Yeah, they have spray painted T-shirts that say #1 fan Tufts.
Body language still looking good for Tufts, which I like. They're listening to the coaches. It's looking, for the most part, positive, and you do want to see that. It's pool play. There's lots of time left.
Exactly, and that is something that's really important to remember from an emotional, mental energy standpoint, is that if things go to seed in the pool, that's great. Things go to seed. There's still an opportunity to make a run down the line. You don't want to lose seed in the pool, but if this game finishes out Colorado ahead, that's not terrible for Ewo by any stretch of the imagination.
2 more games tomorrow for them, so they got to continue to fight in this one and also think about some of the mental toughness for the upcoming Saturday matchups. Both teams will be done after this time slot here. Great layout save from Helling. Working up that open side. And trying to swoop through what's quandary, but to no avail, as Lober reels one in.
Lober, if she sensed the pressure, did not show it on her face, but definitely reacted with the kind of speed necessary when you have a speeding Reed coming in behind you. I mean, great heads up defensive attempt from Reed, but Lober just showing her prowess as an ultimate Frisbee player, making that grab.
And early on in that look, Lober was very open, and then it started to change once Reed had identified off the back. Lober being an important part of this team, contributing to 4 of Tufts' 7 goals. Got a block as well. Looking like not going to be on this point, and we're going to see who else Tufts decides to put out there. That last defensive point, not what, if Tufts goes and watches this game film, not what they wanted. We'll see what they decide to put in terms of a zone look now.
Yeah, you don't necessarily want to scrap the zone after it's been shredded once, but the gaps in between players were just too large, especially for a team like Colorado, who they don't mind taking tight margins. It doesn't scare them at all.
Gaskill looking deep as there it is.
Unbelievable.
Courtright gets another goal. Been kind of quiet in this second half because of the breaks they were getting, but Courtright gets back on the board there. 4th goal.
All right, the moment they take the field, they are timing their cuts perfectly, and the connection between Courtright and Gaskill is just so incredibly fun to watch. Gaskill received the disc, looked upfield, and saw that Courtright was streaking towards the end zone. Looked upfield, paused for just a moment to wind up that big backhand, and the timing was absolutely on the money.
Courtright dialing up their 5th goal, actually, of this game, and Tufts, their defense person there, and it got burned with the Hucks, so maybe that's why they've been trying to go in that zone look a little bit.
Yeah, certainly, especially when you have a receiver like Courtright on the field who is both speedy, so capable at adjusting their timing, and then with a potent thrower like Gaskill, yeah, it definitely is smart to try and make that adjustment. But you know, that's where a sideline could have been helpful to say no huck or no big, so that the defender could have adjusted the mark on Gaskill, making that throw not so perfect, not so viable.
Yeah, so we're getting a shot here of one of many. So don't think in the audience it's just one. It's one of many parents cheering on Tufts. They got a whole spread here. I'm jealous of it, Megan. They got goldfish, they got bread, they got chips. That's all for the team. And you love to see that parent support. Just means a lot to the players knowing that people have their backs throughout this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pull going out of bounds here, so Helling will be able to get things started off static here. Bergstrom drawing that matchup. High throw, reeled in. Defender on her back, still gets the score. Goss, got to be excited about that one. Put yourself on the highlight reel.
That was incredible. Goss, first and foremost, was making sure that she would catch the disc, right? She was working on keeping a receiver on her back. As she was about to make a play on the disc, she realized how close she was to the end zone line and then jumped as she went. 2 quandary players at her back, no matter.
You know, these are the kind of moments that get a team excited. You see everyone laughing and enjoying themselves. That's what you want to fire up a team. It's a score, but it's the way that you score. Just going up large like that with defenders on you.
Yeah, and overall, continuing to fight and try and chip at that deficit and not let Colorado take this game away is another really important thing that EWO has been demonstrating down the stretch of this game.
Getting a look there at one of the coaches, Cassie Swafford, who's not unfamiliar with the national stage here at college and winning a title or 2 as well. Gaskill pressured, but stays cool under it again. Kenny Stays in bounds. And they're just content to work it up this backhand sideline here, and Corey with a drop that I have not seen from. And now a huck that just blades into the ground, but
I think
guess what? There was a call.
Yeah.
Normally the throw comes up a little more with a little more flow. Right? It looked like it could have been tipped for sure.
If you felt that way, that's fine. I felt your shoulder in my sternum. No. But like after you release. But if you thought it was, it's your hand, so I believe you. Can you send me that? Yeah, that works.
So a foul contest or foul uncontested?
Yeah, foul uncontested. This comes in on 0.
Courtright is not contesting.
Good spirit there from the senior. Playing in their home state as well, that's got to be fun. And throw just a little behind there for Goss, who made the big play earlier for Tufts. And now they got to dig deep here. The round throw goes to Courtright. No one in the area. And then flips it to Phillips for the score. Colorado can taste it, 2 points away from the win.
Phillips brings it in for the quandary score. Colorado 13, Tufts 8.
What a great shot to Courtright. Who then, I think, looked surprised that Phillips was so open. And they did a little pump fake just to make sure they weren't missing a poach, or they weren't. Easy little flip to Phillips for the score.
What I love so far from this Colorado team that I'm expecting to see throughout the tournament is the ability to make adjustments and the mental resolve. The first few points, Megan, probably not what they wanted, but they've really eased into their offense, and Tufts defense doesn't look like it's been able to match that, at least in the second half.
Now, absolutely. Between watching these two teams from the start of the game till now, Colorado looks more different than EWO does. We're still seeing some of the same problems that have plagued EWO throughout the entire game. Colorado definitely more settled, more dialed in.
So if you're trying to make a run, it's got to start right now with under 15 minutes left into the soft cap. So get a quick hold and then try to generate some more defensive pressure here, as Williamson going to launch another one of her pulls for Quandary. Helling maybe did not see Williamson in the area. Don't think it was a true snake in the grass type play, but Williamson was definitely hovering around the deep space. And a high throw gives it right back to Tufts EWO. That's a gift that they need if they want to make a comeback in this contest. Helling going to shoot it one more time and finds her receiver. Olivia Goss had that big play earlier, gets another one, and Tufts trying to stay around.
Yeah, what a shot from Helling. I am not entirely sure how Goss was able to just stealthily find herself in the end zone unmarked, but Helling incredibly quick to recognize that opportunity. And here's that throw from Williamson. You can kind of see what she was aiming to hit, but didn't quite connect, and then Helling so quick to capitalize on her open receiver.
You make a turnover like that, didn't see the poach, and just to have the resolve to be able to do it again, that's got to speak volumes of her ability as a player. Gaskell keeping things loose here. That Colorado swagger and even the clap for the O-line, I love that. I'm a big sucker for that, Megan. So offensive line being unified like that is always good for me. Is that something you like, or you're not a fan of that?
No, I love it. I love it. I mean, of all the lines you want your offense line to be chilly and calm.
To be vibing, right?
Yeah.
With those cheers or with some form of a clap or dance. Gotta love it. And just a casual throw maybe, or a lack of concentration gives Ewo an opportunity to bring this game within 3. On the doorstep. Tomasio Donahue. Got to find someone here. Phillips playing great defense on the reset. They go around. And it's in. Tufts Ewo gets the break. It's 13-10. Don't go away, folks. This is an exciting conclusion to this Pool B matchup.
Yeah, Ewo not going down without a fight. Certainly they looked more alert and awake at that particular point. We saw that just surprising drop from Quandary. And then Ewo absolutely aggressive offensively, making sure they capitalized on that opportunity. And, you know, credit to Colorado, they definitely tried to put some tight end zone pressure on, but Ewo able to wrap around that and get to the break side.
So now 3-point deficit here. Got just under 11 minutes. Get a nice shot of the crowd here piling in. And just enjoying the sights and sounds of college nationals. Had a chance to walk around the complex. This tournament is just awesome, Megan. That's all I got to say. It's just awesome. All the teams playing. You got different teams with flags, different costumes and things like that. It's just a sight to behold for sure. Colorado keeping their same offensive line out there. Schwartz getting things ready for Ewo as they get center to Gilach. Gaskell draws the Goss mark here. That matchup. Gaskell faking, finds Phillips. Kenny sneaks in for the grab. Quandary on the move, possibly. Phillips finds Gaskell. The height of Gaskell makes it really devastating for the break throws as well, as you see it right there. Gaskell, cool, calm, and collected to the far side, and defender had no chance. Schwartz, and that was dropped. I thought it was a goal. I looked down, and Tufts Ewo gets the disc.
I mean, to Kleinkopf's credit, she laughed because she was also so surprised she dropped such a perfect throw.
Schwartz gonna go backhand this time. Almost got there. Phillips in the area. Emily Kemp trying to make a play. I like the pace Colorado's playing with, going right away. Not wasting time. Got Tufts Ewo on their heels. Courtright gets point blocked. Schwartz says, no way.
If there's one thing Schwartz must recognize, it's a wind-up.
Hopefully Schwartz's hands feels okay to be able to throw. That was a large hand block. We can't wait to see the replay on that one. Throw too high, but gets scooped up. And Tufts. Chance for the break here. And just a little too far for Kemp. And we're going to see this again. The right hand of Schwartz denies the throw from Courtright.
It's a shame they were not able to reward that defensive effort from Schwartz with a goal.
Silva's poached hard underneath, and now going to launch a huck of her own for Kenny. And that short throw will be scooped up. Lober been all over the field for Tufts and playing offense, defense, and a low throw gets dropped, and Tufts Ewo potentially running out of chances if Colorado punches this one in. Kenny had court right, but looks them off. Finds Phillips. And too far, so Megan, Colorado Quandary trying to seal this game. They're letting Tufts Evo multiple opportunities to come back.
Yeah, you can sense that they're eager to put this game away and are starting to make poor decisions, going a little bit outside of their standard offensive set.
Ruled inbounds by the observer. Great throw from Schwartz, getting their offense moving. Looking for Lober. There it is. Tufts. Another break. It's 13-11. Megan, check your smartwatch or something for your heart rate, because this one's getting intense.
I am having a hard time believing this. This is absolutely outstanding effort from Ewo. And honestly, I am super pleased with the shots they are taking. They are running out of time. They need big plays. They look like they are more poised and ready to fight for this game than Colorado is.
It's so interesting how things can change games within games. As Goss had the big catches earlier, delivers the assist there, and now take a look, because at half we said there was a big goose egg there with breaks. Now we see 2. They're down 2. Get 2 more, tie it up, and then maybe force a double game point.
Yeah, and going into the half, they had 13 break chances and 0. So now they've had 6 break chances in the second half and capitalized on 2 of them. Like, that's a huge difference.
Timeout was called there with the momentum definitely in Tufts' favor. So will that timeout bow dividends as they send their offensive line out for another point? They do get the break, so that does help.
Yeah. The parent sideline absolutely fired up from the effort of the Tufts children to bring this game back within 2. I mean, just when I was prepared to put this game to bed, Tufts said, no, not yet.
And definitely not the parents, because they've been throwing the signs. They're, some of them hovering over the fence, trying to get as close to the action as possible to support the Tufts Evo squad. Goes without saying, Schwartz is going to pull again for this team. Been the do-it-all player for them. Even if not connecting on Hucks, let's say in the end zone, it's just getting them out of trouble when they're stuck on their own side.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And continues to just put the defense on notice that anywhere on the field is a viable space to work with.
Colorado Quandary, I think this is good for their chances just later on in the tournament. Getting tested here, gonna have to show some resolve. And a drop as I say that from Wilmot, a low throw. But now Tufts, another break opportunity, folks. Schwartz pumps, thought about the deep, gonna do it now. And eaten up by Gaskill. Wilmoth stays in bounds. Gonna find Phillips on this close sideline. Gonna bend a backhand, and just out of the reach of the Tufts defender, Gaskill will reel it in. 14-11, love the spirit, and that is some good bookends. You love to see that on the broadcast. And there it is for Stacey Gaskill, who got the block earlier in this point.
Yeah, that throw from Schwartz earlier in the point that resulted in Gaskill's D. You know, Schwartz looked off an open throw coming under, just so eager to try and get the disc as far as possible. And then Colorado finally settling in just a little bit to make that offensive point. But if the last several points have shown us anything,
Stacey Gaskell, one of the players for Colorado, balling out, as the kids say. 3 assists, 2 goals, 3 blocks. You'll take the 3 turnovers with the usage that Stacey is getting in the backfield in their offense.
Absolutely, and her turns came early in the game. Her turns came early in the game when they hadn't settled in. I mean, she's been perfect once Colorado has found their legs and gotten settled in.
Colorado up 14-11 here. Like you said, trying to put things to bed if possible, as Williamson to get things going for this Quandary squad. Wilmoth back out there as well for Colorado. Looking like a very different group here from Tufts. I don't see a lot of their mainstays like Helling or Ostrowski out there, or Schwartz. So maybe getting some burn to some of the D-line players here for Tufts. An uphill climb here, game to 15 no matter what. So we'll see if this line can get things started and maybe a break train can occur. Knocked down by Quandary, and a chance to put it away here and win this pivotal Pool B matchup. Another drop from that left hand. We've seen another one earlier for Quandary, and Tufts, if you can punch this in, you're hanging around. Finds the goal, and there it is. Pendleton reels in the score, and it's 14-12. You got to get 3 straight breaks. Can Tufts do it?
Tufts has shown that they are pesky, if nothing else. They are certainly giving Colorado a good fight here down the stretch. I don't know if they have 3 breaks in them, but at the same time, I really thought this game was going to finish several points ago. So I am happy to be proven wrong.
And Megan, I'm going to be a bit diplomatic here. I'm going to say this game has been good for both teams because Colorado has been able to be tested. Tufts able to show some resolve as well towards the end. Both of those things will lead to hopefully better results and continued good results throughout this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. Both teams have to be pleased with the lessons that they have learned through this early college nationals pool game play.
Pool play concludes tomorrow and then jets into some pre-quarter action that we'll have for you. Stay tuned for more pool play games. Got 2 streamed at a time, as well as 2 filmed. Unprecedented coverage here from Ultiworld. If you want to support what they're doing, head to ultiworld.com/subscribe and continue to support this great coverage. I was told every team going to be either streamed or filmed, so on film. That is unprecedented.
Unprecedented. That is really cool.
Coming for you at 2:30 local time, which is Central. Texas Toughers, William and Mary. So make sure you stay tuned for that one. But we're back here in this action. It's Colorado trying to punch in this hold for the win. Phillips been turning yards all game long, making her defenders run, and open throw, and a defender coming through there, and
I'm curious if they'll call that a dangerous play.
Call a foul. Are you contesting the foul? Okay.
I think I couldn't see it at all. And we just turned off. Yeah.
No contest, you're saying? Or are you saying yeah?
Okay. I don't think. Yeah, no contest.
Okay.
Okay, so we have an uncontested dangerous play. In addition,
Yeah, we're going to call that a dangerous play with a yellow card, okay? Coming from behind there is a little dangerous, that's all. Okay.
Yeah, so the problem there is that she had to, the only way she could have made that play is if she ran through the player. There was no opportunity for her to make the play
Are you okay
without
to play?
coming into contact with the Quandary player.
Okay, we have a sub.
And Colorado having to sub off as well as we're going to get one more look at this play as Damasio Donahue going to get a yellow card, a PMF there for that dangerous play.
You want me to stay? Yeah, let's switch this back.
Wilmoth going to tap things in here, and Quandary on the doorstep of a win, 14-12 to score. Phillips hopping up and down. Burns her defender to the open side. And that's the game, folks. Colorado Quandary takes it 15-12, but not without a fight from Tufts Ewo. They made a big run in the second half, but Colorado too strong on this day. They take it.
Super impressed with the EUO's fight, but in the end, Colorado just proved a little crisper, a little faster, a little more poised to take away those offensive scores with a little more ease.
Phillips, Courtright leading the charge here for Colorado, along with Stacey Gaskell in the backfield. Tufts Ewo put in a lot of effort. The parents were involved. They did a great job of fighting back, and that's going to prove dividends for them moving forward. Looking at some of these highlight reel plays, some flying blocks, some big skies as well from this contest.
Yeah, just really thrilled to see some of the defensive pressure from Ewo. And then in the second half, really able to finally connect with those break chances. Made a huge difference in the score in this game, as well as how they feel leaving. But Gaskill, what a joy she was to watch. Her favorite receiver, Courtright. I mean, what a great highlight reel of Gaskill and everything she has.
We just also want to thank the Ulti-World production team for making us sound good. And for Megan Tormey, I'm Theo One. Thank you for watching our coverage of the 2022 College Championships. We got Texas and William & Mary at 2:30 Central Time.